As our story continues, we find the party on the streets of Baldur's Gate. Approaching the Church of Kelemvor, they push open the large oaken doors and are greeted by the Necrobane, Neris Cathon. It is evident that the church has been neglected. It lacks a graveyard, and there is an oppressive emptiness permeating the grounds. The group discusses Oktai's problems and possible solutions, with Neris suggesting the help of the Cleric of Torm to exorcise Oktai from Pazuzu's influence. Neris swears by the cleric and reveals his name to be Thavius Krieg. The same Krieg who is Raya's sworn quarry and the suspected betrayer of Elturel, who entered the Vanthampa Manor near the start of our story. The party also discusses previous events regarding the Book of Vile Darkness and Oktai's apparent pull towards said book. As she is familiar, Neris proves informative, revealing that the book contains Lichhood spells, and that it would be very dangerous in the hands of Pazuzu. She says that Pazuzu has an antagonistic relationship with Gargoth, who once exposed Pazuzu as a demon to the Lord of Hell. This lord, Asmodeus, consequently banished Pazuzu to Material Prime, forcing Pazuzu to forego a number of his substantial powers. For his cleverness in exposing the demon, Asmodeus rewarded Gargoth the Archdevil with the position serving as Treasurer of Hell, one which Gargoth was able to profit from enormously. Finally, she says that destroying the book is only possible by bringing it to the realms of the celestial heavens. The Ghostlighter, Deke, arrives with urgent news from Captain Drake to report to the Flaming Fist headquarters. Consequently, Neris attempts to summon Oktai with the warhorn he gave her. However, she fails, having never attempted it before. Blywyn, feeling confident in her bardic abilities, intervenes and successfully calls Oktai. Meanwhile, in Insight Park, Oktai has been harvesting a hallucinogenic plant called Salvia. A herbal remedy from his culture, he wads it up and chews on it in order to quiet the voice of Pazuzu in his mind.
Hey Oktai, you wanna get high?
In his state of mind, he hears the voice of his mother calling and saying, "They're alive! They're alive!" He is roused from this message by the sound of a distant Goliath warhorn. He immediately sounds his warhorn to answer and begins northward towards the church. Fatefully, he encounters Deke on his way and scoops him up to carry with him to the church. The party at the church discusses the noble families in Baldur's Gate when they are interrupted by Oktai's return. Reunited with his friends, Oktai apologizes for his absence, explaining that he is still getting used to having to answer to a group for his actions. Oktai and Korgim visit Father Alby in his bedroom to check on his condition. Weak but recovering, Father Alby speaks of the Dead Three and that Baldur's Gate needs us before falling asleep. Frustrated by his missed opportunity, Korgim instead speaks to Neris about his uncle Alston and discovers that he helped to establish the Church of Kelemvor in Baldur's Gate. Alston was known as the Host with a Lantern. Unfortunately, the church was pushed out of many parts of Baldur's Gate due to people ignoring the natural order. Neris reveals that she wishes to take Oktai to the Vanthampas to meet with Thavius Krieg. The group warns Neris of Krieg's dealing with Elturel. Blywyn sends Deke to fetch Raya urgently, and the group heads to the Flaming Fist headquarters while Neris, Korgim, Raya, and Beetle are sent to the Blade and Stars Tavern to meet them later. At the command center, the Flaming Fist members speak with the seemingly immoral Vanthampa sons, Thirstwell and Mortlock, in Captain Drake's office. The brothers present a letter offering them 600 gold to find Sardaukar, the leader of the Merkel cult, at Cliffside Cemetery.
This seems to be a bribe. Let us look before leap.
Warily, the group accepts the information, remaining suspicious of the Vanthampa motives. Concurrently, Raya and Neris examine Thavius Krieg's character. They are unable to reconcile their opinions of Krieg, but do agree to meet him on neutral ground. Raya concedes that she will leave Thavius unharmed until, quote, his story is heard, end quote, adding that it is the year of Jubilee, marking 50 years since the companions' arrival. As Neris prepares to depart and collect Thavius, she senses Blywyn's gentle devotion towards Kelemvor and furnishes the Dragonborn with her ceremonial necklace. Inwardly, Blywyn feels her confidence bolstered when she adorns the Lord of the Dead's scales. Raya and the Hellriders make their way to Duskhawk Hill after receiving a crafted Goliath warhorn from Octai. Hatch-cast Climber re-emerges, attempting to collect Octai and Korgim for previous trespasses through Brampton. However, Blywind hastily does away with Hatch by presenting the Van Thamper letter. Exiting Baldur's Gate, the vast expanse of Faerun presents itself to the party, with each individual feeling overwhelmed at the tasks that lay before them. Tumbledown greets the group with an eerie silence. The tomb-like quality of the town dissipates as the mayor of Tumbledown angrily approaches the group. With vitriol, the mayor explains that Baldur's Gate has offered no assistance to his town afflicted by the Stonewall Plague. When inquiring about Devon, Toramesh's cousin, the mayor becomes more incensed. Octai increases his guard, sensing something amiss with the mayor's demeanor. The entrance to the house Devon is quarantined in is barricaded from the outside with a small porthole for food and water, the first of many disturbing findings. After removing the blockade, Blywind and Kriegdor agree to enter Devon's isolation quarters. Judaiah brandishes his plague mask and cowers behind a barrel outside.
I'll just stand back here.
The house is oppressively quiet and filled with symbols of rage. Punched out walls, ripped out flooring, and intentionally broken furniture. The seemingly inexorable silence shifts to an oppressive sense of unease as dragging is heard upstairs. While ascending the stairs to investigate, Blywind's foot collapses through one of the treads, cutting her shin. Kriegdor, remembering his previous experience with Stonewall, urges Blywind to leave the house or risk lethal exposure. Frustrated, Blywind leaves, feeling as though she has abdicated her duties to help Devon cross the threshold from life into death. Reaching the final step, Kriegdor discovers Devon in the final stages of Stonewall. His breath is thready, his limbs are immobile, and his eyes are locked open in a penetrating gaze towards the ceiling. In his final moments, Devon is able to explain to Kriegdor his findings at Cliffside Cemetery. He states that Stonewall was set upon Tumbledown for necromantic purposes, and that the mayor ignored Devon's warnings. Hearing Devon recount these events reminds Kriegdor of the suffering his people endured under Bane. Kriegdor offers Devon his cousin's pipe, providing the ailing dwarf comfort as he passes. Echoing from Baldur's Gate, the hourly bell clangs, providing a ominous funerary sound. Quietly, the Tabaxi monk recites a prayer over Devon's lifeless body, clutching the key to the crypts provided to him. With a grave expression, Kriegdor exits the house, promptly cleansing himself of the Stonewall Plague. The once placid monk becomes maniacally enraged, eviscerating the leader of Tumbledown with venomous words. "I saw a good man die up there because you ignored him." The words resound off the vacant buildings in a silent contemplation. Abruptly, the quiet is broken as Octai begins to bind and suspend the mayor. Unbeknownst to the group, Korgim casts an illusion on the mayor's hands, turning them grey, the first symptom of Stonewall, causing the mayor to become frantic. Feeling devastated at witnessing Devon's rage, Blywind threatens to seclude the mayor as retribution. The group muffles the mayor's frantic cries with his mayoral sash. As the group descends into their shadow side emotions, Blywind feels a sudden twinge near her sternum.
This cannot be the will of Kelemvor.
Examining the scales of Kelemvor, she is prompted to seek guidance. Moving by an unseen force, Kelemvor's scales appear unbalanced. The Dragonborn realizes that Kelemvor smiles upon punishing evil, not willful ignorance, and that forgiveness is paramount. She beseeches the group to stop, instructing the mayor to uphold Kelemvor's tenets by promptly burying the dead and to walk in the light until his dying day. Octai banishes the mayor from his station and the cities of Baldur's Gate and Tumbledown once his duties are completed. Looking over to Beetle, Blywind realizes the repercussions of her actions and seeks forgiveness from the boy she sees so much of herself in. Indirectly, she asks forgiveness of herself through Beetle. Disappointed by the group's actions, Beetle thrashes at Blywind, who tolerates every blow, exclaiming that we are not like the inhabitants of Baldur's Gate. We are better. Kriegdor calms the boy down, stating that they are a family.
I cannot allow myself to become as bad as those who destroyed my homeland.
Overwhelmed with emotion at hearing these words,
Beetle's anger crumbles. The group somberly press on towards Duskhawk Hill. They regroup with Raya and the Hell Riders, planning strategic positions as they await Neris and Thavius Krieg to crest the hill.